Dear students, welcome to the online classes of endocrinology. And today I will explain about the adrenal glands. So first here you can see the position of adrenal gland. So as name indicating, ad means above and renal means kidney. So here you can see the position of adrenal gland which is above the kidney. So here this is right adrenal gland situated above the right kidney, and here this is left adrenal gland situated above the left kidney. Now histology. If we will talk about the cells of adrenal gland, actually it is made up of two main parts. That is inner part is adrenal medulla, and outer part is called cortex. And the cortex part has three main cells. The outermost part is zona glomerulosa, and middle part is zona fasciculata, and innermost part of cortex is zona reticularis. And the adrenal medulla are made up of chromaffin cells. Here you can see the hormones of adrenal gland. As I have already discussed that cortex part is made up of three main cells. So first is zona glomerulosa. It secretes mineralocorticoids, and particularly the aldosterone hormone. Zona fasciculata, that is middle part of adrenal cortex, it secretes glucocorticoids, and particularly the cortisol is the important hormone of zona fasciculata. And the innermost part of cortex is zona reticularis, and it secretes androgens. And the inner part, which is adrenal medulla, adrenal medulla secrete a important hormone, epinephrine and norepinephrine. That is called adrenaline and noradrenaline. Now about the adrenal cortex. So as I already discussed, the adrenal cortex secretes glucocorticoids, that is cortisol, and that is secreted from zona fasciculata. Second hormone is mineralocorticoids, that is aldosterone. It controls the sodium and potassium ion exchange in the distal nephron, and it's secreted from the zona glomerulosa. And a small amount of reproductive steroid hormone are also produced from the adrenal cortex, that is androgen. Now the synthesis of aldosterone and regulators. Actually, aldosterone is steroid hormone. It is made up of uh, uh, from the cholesterol. Similarly, cortisol is also steroid hormone, and it is also made up from the cholesterol. So here you can see the various steps and enzyme involved in the production of aldosterone as well as cortisol. And so the precursor of aldosterone is cholesterol. So with the help of CYP11A1, that is part of cytochrome P450, it is converted into pregenolone, and then it's converted into progesterone, and finally with in various steps finally it is converted into the aldosterone. Similarly, uh, cholesterol also converted into the cortisol inside the zona fasciculata cell of adrenal cortex. Now, hormone function of adrenal cortex. Actually, the hormones of adrenal cortex helps in maintaining of blood pressure and cardiovascular function. They help slow the immune system or inflammatory response. They are helpful in the balance the effect of insulin in breaking down the sugar for the energy production. They help in regulating the metabolism of protein, carbohydrate and fats, and help in the maintenance of proper arousal and sense of well-being. So first is corticoid hormone, that is glucocorticoid. Glucocorticoid, the principal or chief hormone of this glucocorticoid is cortisol, and in the case of rodents it is called corticosterone. So cortisol stimulates most body cells to increase their energy production. It causes cells to increase energy output by using fats and amino acids instead of glucose. So cortisol actually you utilize fats for the energy production. And inflammation, if left unchecked, will lead to excessive tissue destruction, and cortisol limits this inflammatory or inflammation process. And cortisol also suppress the activity of white blood cells. On the other hand, the mineralocorticoids, and the main hormone of mineralocorticoid is aldosterone. It regulates the formation of urine, increase blood pressure or volume, increase sodium salt level in blood, or decrease potassium level in blood. Now here in this figure, you can see the structure of cortisol here in the middle, and the effect of various effect or various role of cortisol in human. So here you can see it can participate in the synthesis of cellular enzymes, stimulates protein biosynthesis in liver, it influences water salt balance in our body, it participates in carbohydrate, lipid and protein metabolism as well. It catalyzes the breakdown of proteins and ribonucleic acids, and it strengthens the heartbeat, it increases blood pressure, it suppresses collagen synthesis, and it forms glycogen from the glucose in liver. Now here you can see how RAS system, that RAS is renin angiotensin system, and it regulate the aldosterone production. Actually, the main enzyme or main hormone, that is angiotensin 2, stimulate the secretion of uh, aldosterone. So here you can see during the low blood pressure, actually kidney start producing an enzyme, or we also considered as a hormone, that is renin. This renin actually converts angiotensinogen that is formed in the liver. So this renin comes into the liver and convert angiotensinogen into the angiotensin angiotensin 1, that is the hormone of the liver. This angiotensin 1 further converted into angiotensin 2. Here you can see how this angiotensin converting enzyme, that is ACE, is helpful in the conversion of angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2. And once this angiotensin secretes, it increases the blood pressure. On the other hand, it also affects or it stimulates the production of aldosterone, and this aldosterone increases the blood pressure. So here you can see this RA system can manage the blood pressure in our body. Now FPA axis and its control of various hormones of adrenal cortex. So this HPA is actually hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and the hormones of this HPA axis are very useful in controlling of various uh, mechanism or various activities in our body. So here you can see the under the stress condition, the hypothalamus, which is situated in the brain, actually starts secretion of CRS, that is corticotropin releasing hormone, and this corticotropin releasing hormone goes to the anterior lobe of the pituitary, and it stimulates the secretion of ACTH, that is adrenocorticotropin releasing hormone. This ACTH then directly goes to the uh, adrenal gland, particularly adrenal cortex, and from the adrenal cortex it stimulates the production of cortisol. So here you can see the production of cortisol. Once this cortisol is secreted, it shows its effects, and it actually decrease the stress level on body. So here you can see how this HPA axis is helpful in the controlling of stress inside our body. And one more thing associated with the cortisol, that is the maintenance of natural alarm clock in our body. So most of you and some people can automatically awake in the morning without any alarm clock, and actually this is because of this ACTH and cortisol. So cortisol actually stimulates most body cells to increase their energy production, which heightens the body's ability. And later stage of sleep, and particularly in early morning, these hormones were released, causing the body to awake. Now, the role of aldosterone in metabolic syndrome or obesity. So, obesity is the one of the major problem these days around the world. So, actually, obesity induce, here you can see obesity induce or increase the aldosterone secretion in our body, and once the aldosterone secretion is uh, over, means the aldosterone secretion is high, it can cause various effect in our body. Here you can see it induce the inflammation, oxidative stress, and it also induce fibrosis, hypertrophy, inflammation in vessels, blood vessels, hypertension. It can induce uh, dyslipidemia, means triglyceride increase, and SDL, the good cholesterol level, goes down. It can also induce the insulin resistance, that is also dangerous, and it can induce the gluconeogenesis, inflammation, and oxidative stress in the liver. So these all effect are due to the obesity, because obesity can induce the higher secretion of aldosterone. Now, disorder related to the adrenal cortex. So here you can see two major syndromes or diseases. First is Addison disease. The Addison disease is because of the hyposecretion of the cortisol, that is called hypocortisolism. So the main symptom of this disease, here you can see the skin is hyperpigmented, low blood pressure, weakness, weight loss, and it also affect our gastrointestinal tract. It can cause nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, constipation, and abdominal pain. And sometime in skin you can see the rashes, like white rashes. There is vitiligo, and it can also cause fever, convulsion, severe vomiting, and diarrhea. So here and down in the figure you can see the classic hyperpigmentation in the Addison disease. Second is the Cushing syndrome. It is because of hypercortisolism or hypersecretion of the uh, cortisol. So here you can see the various symptoms of this Cushing syndrome. It can affect our uh, brain to our skin and our reproductive system as well. So finally, I have summarized all the hormones of the adrenal cortex here. You can see the three hormones, that is glucocorticoid, that is particularly cortisol, mineralocorticoid is aldosterone, and androgens. These all three hormones are steroid hormones. And here I have already discussed about their role and effect of hyposecretion and hypersecretion. So hyposecretion can cause an autoimmune disease, Addison's disease. It is also called John F. Kennedy's Addison disease, because U.S. President John F. Kennedy was also affected by this hyposecretion disease, Addison disease. So that's all about adrenal cortex. Now I will discuss about adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla is the inner part of the adrenal gland, and it produces two main hormones, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine. And the function of adrenal medulla is to stimulate the body to react to stressful situations, and as stress is physical activity and low blood glucose. So function of epinephrine is to elicit or it can elicit the fight or flight response. It can increase the heart rate and blood pressure, increase respiration rate, increase metabolic rate, increase glycogenolysis, and vasodilation. Similarly, norepinephrine is also fight or flight hormone. It actually in, induce the supply of oxygen and glucose to brain and muscle, and it also increase the skeletal muscle readiness. Now, action of adrenal medulla. So Here you can see under the stress condition or low blood glucose level, and this hypothalamus get activated, and the action potential actually goes through the sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system, and it gives the signal to the adrenal medulla to secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine. Once these hormones, norepinephrine and epinephrine, that are noradrenaline and adrenaline, secretes in the blood, and they go to the target tissues. And in target tissue, they cause increased release of glucose from the liver. They increase the release of fatty acid from fat stores, and adrenaline increases heart rate, decreases blood flow through the vessels, decreases function of visceral organ, and adrenaline particularly or noradrenaline increases blood pressure, and they also increase metabolic rate in the skeletal muscle. Now here you can see the effect of epinephrine hormone in various organs. So the receptor for epinephrine are found in various organs. Here you can see the receptor in the blood vessel. So once they can bind to the receptor in blood vessel, and the vessel constriction take place. On the other hand, when they bind to skeletal muscle, they dilate the vessels of skeletal uh, muscles or skeletal vessels. And the receptor for epinephrine also found in the liver cell. Here you can see the glycogen deposits in the liver cell, and they can bind to the receptor, and it can induce the glycogen breakdown. So glycogen is converted into the glucose. So here you can see how epinephrine can bind to the different target organ and execute its function. Now, the model for epinephrine action. So, as you know, the epinephrine or adrenaline is a kind of a peptide hormone. So, its receptor are present on the surface of the target cell. Here you can see the receptor for the epinephrine, and this receptor is G protein coupled receptor. So once epinephrine it binds to the its receptor, it can activate it, and G protein is activated, and it can activate the adenyl cyclase. So once this adenyl cyclase is activated, the ATP is converted into the cyclic AMP. This cyclic AMP acts as a secondary messenger. It can mm, do the activation of cyclic AMP dependent protein kinases. So there are various kinases get activated, and activation of phosphorylase, and finally the production of glucose from the glycogen. So this is the signal transduction cascade of epinephrine. Now the effect of hyposecretion of epinephrine or norepinephrine, it can induce the anxiety, depression, fibromegalia, hypoglycemia, and these are the some symptom of hyposecretion of epinephrine. However, the hypersecretion can induce the high blood pressure, anxiety, and excessive sweating. So here I have summarized all hormones of adrenal medulla, that are epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So as I already discussed their function and their effect of hyposecretion and hypersecretion. Finally, I have summarized in this figure about the all hormones of adrenal gland. Here in the right hand side, you can see under the stress condition, actually hypothalamus get activated, it produces CRH, and CRH goes to the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. It activates the secretion of ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, then goes to the uh, adrenal cortex, that is outer part, and from the outer part, that is cortex. From the cortex, actually two hormones are secreted. First is glucocorticoid, and particularly cortisol. So it induces the protein and fat metabolism instead of glucose breakdown, and it reduces the inflammation, and it also suppresses the immune cells. On the other hand, the second hormone, which is mineralocorticoid, and particularly the aldosterone, and it is helpful in the sodium ion and water are reabsorbed by the kidney, and blood volume and pressure is increases with the help of aldosterone. On the other hand, here in the left hand side, you can see the stress actually induce the nerve impulse, and these impulse immediately goes to the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord the sympathetic through the help of sympathetic fiber, and the signal goes to the adrenal medulla, and medulla actually increase the secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine, and they are helping the stress response in short term. Actually, this is very short term because the signal goes immediately to the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord they can directly come to the adrenal medulla. And once the secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine increases, the heartbeat and blood pressure increases, blood glucose level rises, and muscle become energized. So you may feel this condition when you are stressed, or when you are over stressed. So sometimes you can feel the quick heart rate or increased heart rate. So that's all about the adrenal gland. Next time I will start a new topic. Till then, please stay at home, stay safe. Thank you.